and welcome to the Rcn Unplugged, a podcast where we bring you the voices, stories, and insights that shape the Rotary Club of Nairobi. I am your host, Mumbi King, and today we have a captivating conversation lined up just for you. Our guest today is Ebenezer Makori, who is the Vice President of the Rotaract Club of Nairobi Central and an analytical chemist. Rotaract Ebenezer, welcome to RCN Unplugged. Now, to start off, let's start at the beginning. When did you join Rotaract, and what first drew you to Rotaract, to RCNC, in other words?
All right, thank you very much, Mumbi. Now, my story with Rotaract begins with a very interesting phrase. Like every other interesting story,
yes,
you have no idea what's going to happen.
True, very true.
That is how I began my Rotaract story.
Yes.
I had no idea what Rotaract was. I had no idea what was going to happen. The only thing I knew was that I had time and I wanted to do that. So this is back in 2023 during one of the school holidays. And at that particular point, I wanted to do something different, something important. So previously,
yes,
I was a Netflix and chill person.
Wow.
So the entire day it was just Netflix.
Yes.
But now in 2023, I was tired in a way of
fatigued.
Yes. So I wanted to change the scenery, try to do something different. And that is how I got to know about Rotaract, one of those Google searches, and then Rotaract popped out. And what was interesting, or at least what made me want to do that, do Rotaract, be part of Rotaract and Rotary, was service. Doing something that will benefit others apart from myself. And it got more interesting when I joined the first meeting.
Uh-huh.
I had a quote.
What was your experience?
Yes. Now, the first meeting. I had a quote from one of the alumnus, Paul.
Yes.
I don't remember the actual quote, but it was something in the line of, service is the tax of a life well lived. So at the back of my mind,
beautiful. Mm-hmm.
I want to be of service.
Yes.
And then there's someone who has been in Rotaract and Rotary for a long period of time who has just quoted that quote. And at the back of my mind, this is amazing. I want to do this. And that is how I actually got serious, apart from the fact that I wanted to be there, but now the seriousness of what is happening in this meeting, how these people are conducting themselves, and, the quote.
That is great. So through your journey, you were looking for purpose. You were looking for impact. You didn't just want to spend the whole day watching movies. Exactly. And through that, you found a greater purpose. And how has that journey been since you joined?
In one word, out of this world. Okay, no, those are 3 words. But,
yes,
essentially out
phrase.
of...
yes.
A phrase, out of this world. At the beginning, you have no idea, number one, you have no idea what is about to happen. And then secondly, what you think is about to happen is 10 steps below or behind in what is actually going to happen. So when I was thinking about service, initially when I joined Rotaract, it was something in the line of, a cleanup, going to the elderly homes.
The standard community service that you see, certain projects engaging in. You go to a project, that's it.
Exactly.
You never hear of it.
Exactly.
But go ahead.
Exactly. That was my thinking. That was what I thought was going to happen. But when you are in the middle of it and you get to understand what is happening, when you get involved with what is happening, you get to understand, you get to be marveled by the magnitude of what is happening. Case in point, our signature project in Mailitisa.
Yes.
Wonderful things that are happening there. Out of this world, out of anything I could have thought of and expected when I joined.
Perfect. Now, for those who don't know about the project in Mailitisa, can you let us know What are you doing there? What projects? Is it one project? Is it many multiple projects? Tell us more.
All right. Now, I had promised to, or at least I was marveled. And in terms of marveling the person who is listening to this, the project is one of its kind. The scope, first of all, the timeline, it's a 10 years project. And what is going to be done, or at least the focus area, are all of the 7 Rotary areas of focus. So that is the magnitude of that particular project.
Wow.
Everything from education, water, economics, environmental factors and areas of consideration. We are doing all of that.
You're covering all bases.
All bases, 7 of them. Last year it was a medical camp, and then next year it's going to be water and sanitation. We are planning on drilling a bore there. For the next 8 years, or at least 8.5 years, we're going to do all of the 7, or at least we're going to focus on all of the 7 Rotary areas of focus. So that is how big that project is going to be.
Perfect. And if I can ask, how do you aim for this project to be sustainable? Because we are often told about, your projects need to be sustainable. They need to be a long-term perspective. And as you've said, it's going to be a legacy project that will take 10 years. Yeah. So what elements of sustainability are you taking? Are you training teachers? Are you building wells or showing people how to build wells?
All right. Interesting. Now, sustainability, various aspects to be considered, but to us, what we consider to be the most important aspect is guiding the community to own the project, so that when we are not there, they can actually continue with the project, with the impact, everything we envision that project to be. So yes, we want to walk hand by hand, go step by step with them, so that when you're not there, they're doing it. We are actually working with a school, a CBO, and other community-based organization in Mailitisa, so that they can actually be the ones who are making sure that everything is happening there. For us is providing the high-level structure and guidance, but then for them, the ones who are actually making sure that everything is happening. Yes, so the sustainability aspect is based on the fact that we want them to guide how the project will pan out.
Yes.
And for us, we're just there to foresee, in a way, the eagle's view. Yeah, yes, the eagle's view, and then they are the ones who are actually on the ground.
On the ground.
Yeah.
That is perfect. Now, you've shared about this project. I want to look more inwards with you. How do you think being part of Rotaract has changed you personally? I'm sure you've been to the project in Mailitisa. Perhaps the way you approach teamwork or leadership or even purpose in daily life. What impact has Rotaract had on you?
Rotaract has impacted, I'd say, all facets of my being. But the most important one is on leadership and service. I have 2 particular instances where that was very visible. The first one on leadership was when I was baptized by fire. That is what...
As we all are.
I was told, yeah. In my formative days, I just joined RCNC. I was picked. I was volunteered to lead one of the projects. That is the... What is it called? The one for the high school. Careers Garage.
Yes.
So there I was, few months in the club, and then I was supposed to lead that project. And now that project was huge. It has been happening for the previous 10 years.
Wow.
You can think of the magnitude, the weight of the responsibility I was shouldering. But with everything that happened in between, at least the the most important thing I learned about leadership was servant leadership, one of those styles.
True.
For you to be an effective leader, in a way, you have to lead by actually doing it, not just telling people this is what you should do.
Not just ordering people.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So that was in leadership. And then the other aspect on service was, actually I learned this last year during the medical camp. And the story behind that lesson is very touching. So there was a 70-year-old man, and after the medical camp, he came to talk to us. And that 70-year-old man was crying and thanking us.
Oh.
The reason for that was, in all his life, 70 years, he had never had a medical attention.
Oh, wow.
And then there we were, a bunch of young guys, we're trying to do something good. And that was, the lesson I learned out of that was, being of service to others is a moral imperative. And this is what I mean. If you have the capacity to do good for and to others, you should do it.
Definitely.
It's an ethical responsibility. For us who are here, we take it for granted, the fact that we can access health facilities and health attention quite easily.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are people out here who, for 70 years, they've never been able to get that.
Very true.
And that's the lesson. If you have the capacity to do good for others, you should do it. If you can't do it, to me, that is immoral, because there are people who need it, who actually need it. So if you can, just do it.
And that is why we have, the saying service above self, because at times we as humans are so consumed. Exactly. What do I need to do? Where do I need to go? What am I eating? But at times we need to stop and think about, what about those who have not eaten in a few days? What about those who have never had medical attention? Yeah. What about those children who are longing to go to school but do not have the opportunity? So exactly as you're saying, we need to think over and above our selfish interests.
Exactly.
And, help those who do not necessarily have the resources or the opportunities to do so, such as getting medical attention. 100%. That is great. Now, you speak of leadership and servant leadership. Many Rotaractors describe the club as a leadership classroom. What is one skill or lesson that you have taken away that continues to serve you outside of Rotaract? So I guess that is a similar question along those lines. What's that one skill?
Yeah. Now, when the formative years, or at least days in leadership, was servant leadership. But when you scale up, something I've realized recently in the presidency role was how decisions are made. And the skill I learned was how to think quickly, how to think calmly, and how to make decisions at the moment.
Under pressure.
Exactly. Now, I'm an analytical thinker and communicator. So I usually like to have all the information first, think about it, and then make a decision. But in the presidency role, you get a call, you get a problem, and you need a solution.
But there's no context, there's no information, there's no supplementary. Nothing. I would personally panic. How do you go about it?
Now, something I've learned is frameworks. How to develop mental frameworks that can help you to actually make the decision in a moment, so that when you get a call, at least you put it in a particular box in the brain. This is where the context is going to be. And from this context, we can at least try to make a decision. So having the framework of operating from the limited information, and from that limited information, trying to make an informed decision based on the limited information. not particularly informed, but
Yes.
a decision that will be a workable decision in a way based on that limited information.
Okay.
Yeah.
And given that you have such a short amount of time, are you a perfectionist? Do you like to make sure every single detail is sorted? How do you go about that?
Yes, I'm a perfectionist.
Okay.
Definitely. I think it can be in fact because I'm an analytical thinker,
Yes.
or maybe not. But I had a quote again, a quote from someone: perfectionism is a killer to doing things.
Yes.
It's sort of a verbatim quote, I've forgotten a few things here and there, but still, the point is, if you want to actually do things, you have to forgo the idea that it has to be perfect.
Absolutely. Otherwise, as I often find, you don't do anything at the end because there's always something wrong.
Exactly. You can't do it. If you want to do something, just forgo the idea that it has to be perfect.
Okay, and now that you speak of that, what do you think young leaders like yourself bring to Rotary? Let's say if you're to join RCN, what do you think leaders like yourself can bring, and what can we as Rotary Club of Nairobi offer Rotaractors which will help them grow further? You are our sister club, so what can we do, or what do you think that you can offer us? Start with that.
A wonderful question. Now, when we think of young leaders, I think for every one of us, the first thought in mind is the Gen Z movement or something.
Yes.
I don't want to go deep into that, but what Gen Z, the movement, or at least what happened in the last 1 year, has taught us is young leaders, number one, they bring a certain energy to the table. So when you have, as Rotaractors, as RCNC, you're bringing the energy to actually do things.
Yes.
And then number two, the boldness to see things in a new perspective, in a new way. And then number three, the creativity to actually do things in a different way, and in a way that maybe for those who've been there for quite a while, they would not have seen it in that way. So the energy, the creativity, and the boldness. And then in turn, what can Rotarians, RCN offer? Every young leader always need that guidance, the path to actually do things. So it's in terms of mentorship and perspective. Now, in terms of perspective, I believe the best way to tackle a problem is to see it in all possible lights.
Absolutely.
Yes. So Rotarians, and in particular RCN, the older people, they've seen how something can be done in various ways. And when we combine all our perspectives, we get the best way of doing things. And then the other point on mentorship is young people are believed to be erratic in a way.
Yes.
Now,
I will agree with that. But erratic in a good way.
Yeah.
We stand up for what we think is right. And we're quite agile.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So the mentorship point is trying to contain the erraticness and channel it in the best way possible. And that is what relatively older people can offer. So the mentorship in terms of guidance, in terms of containing that energy and channeling it in the best way possible to actually solve problem. And the extension of the point of mentorship is it's not a one-off thing. So previously we've had mentorship sessions, but it's only for a day, for an event, for a particular activity. But to me, I think the best way to mentor young people is to walk with them along that path. It should not be a one-off thing, should be a one event, but rather having them in various activities, in various projects, in many meetings, the one you alluded
course.
earlier to,
Yes.
so that we can actually be guided in the best possible way in a longer period of time.
That is a great response, primarily because, we might think the best way to support Rotaractors might be a certain way, yet, you guys require a long-term leadership program, which is something that can be, or mentorship program, which can be implemented. I think RCN has a whole host of people in different careers, different life paths, just a variety of mentors who can also offer life mentorship and just a holding hand, right?
Yeah.
And that, in essence, will help you transition from RCNC to Rotary Club of Nairobi, which leads to my next question. I know you just joined Rotaract, but as you begin thinking about the next chapter, what does a transition from Rotaract to Rotary mean to you? Is it soon? I mean, it's only been 2 years. Would you want to join Rotary, or would you prefer to stay with your fellow Rotaractors?
Now, interestingly enough, in as much as I've only been in Rotaract for 2 years,
yes,
I've actually started thinking about going to Rotary.
Oh, wow.
And I was thinking of it being a gradual process from this year, only that I've not actually actualized the thought, but it's something that is at the top of my mind. And what that looks like is, number one, a gradual process, starting joining a couple of meetings, a couple of socials, and the driving force behind that thought is again a quote, not particularly, a quote. There was something I was told, or at least I had a couple of years ago, when a wise person, I don't want to use the word old, but when a wise person is seated, he can see far as compared to a young person who is standing at the top of the mountain.
True.
Yes.
True.
So my thought behind wanting to join Rotary is so that I can try to see as far ahead as the wise people, or if you want to call them old, it's okay.
Senior people.
Yes, senior people. All right. Now that's a better term. Senior people could actually see ahead. So trying to be in that space where I can see in terms of the bigger picture, not just what is 5 years ahead or 10 years ahead as Rotaractors see in our projects. Yeah.
That is great. Now, let's talk about the culture, because culture between clubs is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
What is the culture like at RCNC, and how has it evolved over time? And, you can compare it to other clubs, maybe you visited. Mm-hmm. What is the spirit and culture of RCNC like?
Now, this is not a biased opinion.
Unbiased, totally impartial.
A very impartial opinion. Now, RCNC, for one, we've always been thought of the benchmark in terms of what a Rotary club should be. And the downside of that is we are always thought to be a very serious club. Serious in terms of we don't have fun. But now that is not actually true. We are serious in terms of the projects we do. Very serious. I don't think I've actually encountered any other club that has a project with as much magnitude as our club. So if that is what we can say seriousness is, then we are serious.
Well and good.
And we're good with that.
Yes.
Perfectly okay with that. And now the other side of fun, we are actually a very fun club.
Tell us more.
We have many activities in a year and in a month.
Okay.
We always divide it into three parts. The first activity is on projects, the community service. The other one is on leadership development. And then the third one is on club service. We need to have fun. We are young people. And the defining characteristic of young people is fun. So we have that. So our culture is on three parts: club service, having wonderful, fun activities; projects, something that we can give back to the community. We are very serious about that. And then leadership, how we can develop the members within our club to the highest caliber possible. So that is our culture.
That is great. And it sounds like a very, very empowering culture. Now, looking within your club, we have a whole committee called Family of Rotary that reaches out to members if they're not feeling well, if they've lost a loved one, and in general, if they have not been seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Do you have that same support system within RCNC?
Again,
is it a family?
Again, we are the benchmark of Rotaractors. So,
Yes.
Of course, we do have that. And it's imperative that we understand Rotaract is more than a club. When many people think about a club, is something of a self-help group, but is indeed a family. We are here for a greater cause, but then we are here for one another.
That is true.
So for the best of times, for the worst of times, we have to be there for each other. When you are celebrating your graduation, we'll be there. Actually, we had one recently. It was fun.
Wow.
It was fun.
Were you there shouting in the background,
Yeah.
screaming in support?
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yes.
And it's great that you say that because meetings for me is like I'm going to a family gathering. It doesn't feel intimidating at all.
Yeah.
It just seems like I'm going to catch up with family and learn at the same time.
Exactly.
Right. Now, let me ask you, is there anybody that mentors you within the club? I know you mentioned Paul, but is there anybody who has impacted you or influenced you on your Rotaract journey?
Yes, I have two. One of them is a Rotarian. He's actually part of RCN, and another one is not, but both of them are past president and they are alumni of the club. So that is Nicodemus and Ambrose Mbovi. Now, what they've actually influenced, or at least how they've influenced me, is in terms of how I think about leadership and how I communicate as a leader. Now, with Nicodemus, it's what it means to actually be either president or a VP. Before I encountered, or at least I had them, my thinking about leadership was, telling people what to do and making sure that they actually do it. But the interesting thing I learned from Nicodemus was, as a leader, your core responsibility is to show the way and pave the way for the people behind you to actually do things. Let them do what they think the best thing to do is. Don't block the way. And then with Ambrose is how to communicate. And I've actually learned recently that the key differentiator between having a wonderful idea and executing that wonderful idea is how you communicate it.
Absolutely.
Yes,
that is true.
Exactly. If you charge in as a leader that you should do this, no one will do it. So finding the balance between guiding people and letting them do the thing is how you communicate.
Yes.
Yes.
And support them. And again, culture and environment plays a role because that will then enable them to do their job to the best of their ability or not.
Exactly. 100%. 100%.
Now, as a leader, as VP, how would you shape the future of RCNC for the next generation?
Oh, that's a very heavy question. How to shape it. Now, I divide it into 2 or at least 3 areas. So number 1 is the core identity of the club. The core identity of the club is a division between the serious aspect of being impactful as a club, and then the other aspect is enjoying being part of the club. So carrying forward that culture of fun club and then an impactful club. And then the other aspect will be on structures. RCNC is known to have one of those stringent structures that cannot be lost in between. So my role is to make sure that the next people will be coming in to the board, to the club, actually have the structures so that it can guide them 10 years to come, 20 years to come. And
Absolutely.
then the last aspect in how to make sure that the club actually goes further is how we communicate the Rotaract story. The Rotaract story is always given as serving people. And if you think of it rationally, it's a good thing.
You're
serving
indeed.
people. But then on the other side is understanding of what drives people. If I'm not getting something out of whatever I'm doing, I'm less inclined to actually do it. So changing the story, reimagining the story in a way that when you're joining, you actually know that you're going to benefit from your experience in a very big way. So combining the service aspect, the community service aspect, and the aspect that you're going to have a great time, you're going to learn a lot that at the end of it, you'll be surprised of the person you've actually become.
And that is very powerful, what you say. And not just that, one needs to approach it with an open heart, an open mind, and be ready to learn. Because as you said, you will be baptized by fire, by force, thrown into the deep end. You don't have time to complain.
No.
Just take on the work or the roles and responsibility that you have been given and allow yourself to grow.
And actually, on that point, a phrase again, just say yes. When you get that opportunity to do something, to lead a project, to go out there and spread your wings in a way, just say yes.
Just say yes. The
Just
year
say
of
yes.
yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I know you love giving us quotes, but do you have anything to say to us, people or Rotarians of RCN? Any message very briefly? What would you like to say to us?
Mentorship. It's back to the mentorship point. When a wise person is seated, you will see long or at least fired as compared to the young person who's standing at the top of the mountain.
Absolutely.
So my request to Rotarians is invite that young person to sit beside you so that when you see miles ahead, they can get a glimpse of what that fire actually looks like. Guide them, mentor them, and provide that opportunity so that they can actually make the world a better place in a way. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ebenezer, for joining us on this episode. And we look forward to mentoring RCNC Rotaractors. So thank you so much for your time. And thank you for this very powerful and very captivating conversation.
It was an absolute pleasure. I loved every bit of this particular conversation.
Perfect. We will see you at RCN. And we are extending our invitation for you to join us at our meetings.
I'll be there.
Thank you.